Visiting Jungfraujoch is one of the most popular things to do in all Switzerland. You can stand on one of the highest points in the Swiss Alps, walk through an ice cave, play in the snow, and get panoramic views over the Alps. Jungfrau, also called the top of Europe, heavily advertises to make tourists believe this is something you must do. It must be working because despite the steep cost, Jungfrau is always packed. At times, I felt like I was at Disneyland, not just with the crowds, but also with the crazy prices. Still, we believe it was worth the cost and the visit. Today, I'll walk you through what you need to know about your Jungfraujoch visit to ensure you have the best experience. Jungfraujoch is the location of the highest train station in Europe and goes by the name Top of Europe, which is not exactly correct, as we visited Glacier Paradise near Zermatt, which sits at an elevation of 3883 meters. That's 429 meters higher than Jungfraujoch. There are a lot of ways to get to Jungfrau. If money is no object, take a helicopter starting at 2,500 Swiss francs. During our visit, we saw helicopters taking off and landing all day. Frankly, it looked like a lot of fun. If the helicopter isn't within your budget, I recommend you stay at the Lauterbrunnen Hotel in Silberhorn. I'm not associated with this hotel, but this hotel provides the easy access to the train you need to get to Jungfraujoch and other places within the Lauterbrunnen region. You should have already purchased a Swiss half-fare card, which costs 120 Swiss francs for your time in Switzerland. Also purchase in advance a round-trip ticket from Lauterbrunnen to Jungfraujoch. Just purchase a second-class ticket, as first class isn't available for most of the Jungfraujoch journeys. If you're leaving from the Hotel Silberhorn, it's only a 4-minute walk to the Lauterbrunnen train station. Take number 63 Cogwheel train to Kleine Scheidegg, which is about 38 minutes. And then, from Kleine Scheidegg, take 65 Cogwheel train to Jungfraujoch. This is confusing. Let me ease your mind. Book everything on the SBB app and nothing can go wrong. Let me reassure you that most trains and other cable cars in Switzerland are right next to each other. Everything's well marked. Everyone is going either up or down a mountain, so just follow the crowds. Your Jungfrau visit starts in the main complex with restaurants and shops. The stores are all tourist traps. Lindt chocolate was packed, but you can purchase Lindt chocolate at any Costco or your local grocery store for much less than the chocolate sold here. I assume the same goes for the watch stores. Skip the stores for now and go out to the outdoor excursions that will get very crowded later in the day. Ride the elevator up to the Sphinx Terrace for one of the best views of the day. From here, at an elevation of 3,500 meters, you get panoramic views over the Alps. You also get to see the Aletsch Glacier, which is the longest glacier in Europe. This glacier has 11 billion tons of ice. You get the best views of this natural world heritage site from Jungfrau. I recommend that you hike this area. As you stand on the terrace, you can overlook the region and plan your hike. There are snow tubing, sledding, and zip line options for additional cash. If this is all a novelty to you, you should definitely do it. You go down the hill in some type of either tube or sled, and then you can see there's a ride that takes you back up the middle, and you can do it again.
Hey, good morning. We're here on top of Jungfraujoch. A couple things to think about. It's really bitter cold up here. So when you come up, make sure you dress in layers. The train was very warm, but then you get out here and it is certainly freezing or maybe even below freezing. So you just want to dress accordingly. Next tip is take the 8 o'clock train. It's first come, first serve on your seats if you don't have a reservation. But if you catch an early morning train, there's going to be plenty of seats.
When you're done with the terrace, take the elevator all the way down to the plateau.
Hey, we're at the Jungfrau Plateau. Beautiful views. It is really chilly and very slippery. You're walking through snow, so make sure you wear hiking boots and bring in layers so you can change. You can see there's some beautiful views here. Up there is Jungfraujoch, where we just came from, and we hiked down here to the plateau. The line to take a picture with the Swiss flag is extremely long and moves very slowly. I'm guessing it's an hour-long wait, so if you really must have a picture of the Swiss flag, get here early and do this flag thing first. This is the line of doom on Mount Doom. Okay, we cheated a little bit, and instead of standing in line, we're just taking a video around the back side, so that's a tip. To be able to save about an hour waiting in line, and you actually get a better picture because you get a video of the flag and the station at the same time.
Jungfraujoch means maiden saddle in German. It's called that as it is a saddle connecting two major 4,000 mountains in the Alps, Jungfrau and the Monk. Since 1912, Jungfraujoch has been accessible to tourists by the Jungfrau Line, a railway from Interlaken and Kleine Scheidegg, running partly underground through a tunnel through the Eiger and Monk. While you're here, enjoy this masterpiece of engineering. The railway was launched in 1912, taking 3,000 workers 16 years to complete. If the journey seems incredible now, just think how it would have been back then. Many railway partners have flocked to the region and proposed ways to connect these peaks, but they decided on an electronically operated cog railway, factoring in several stops en route to let passengers enjoy the view. The work began in 1896 and was carried out without machinery, just shovels, pickaxes, and a lot of work. The Sphinx Observatory, one of the highest astronomical observatories in the world, provides an additional viewing platform which I showed earlier in this video. The observatory houses one of the Global Atmosphere Watch's atmospheric research stations. The first thing you'll notice when you step onto the plateau, which they call the Snow Fun Park, is that it is really packed. Again, remember my tip to get there early. Once you've paid to get to the top of Jungfraujoch, it's silly not to go do the things that you'd like to do. At least come up and do an activity or two. Go snow tubing, zip lining, skiing, snowboarding, or what we did, which was hiking. Most of these activities come at an additional cost. Even if you love hiking, you can sign up for a longer guided hike, which is what those people were doing. We just hiked up to the top of a hut, and I'll walk you through that later, and that was free. If you tube, you can take a mechanized elevator-style walkway back up the hill. You need to pay extra for this, and the cost is by the half hour. They have a zip line for some extra excitement. You fly down the alpine slope on a zip line and enjoy panoramic views of the surrounding Monk and Eiger peaks from impressive heights. The lines to do this were pretty long, so we didn't even consider it. We hiked up a glacier to what's called the Mönchsjochhütte, which is a one-of-a-kind adventure. And it's an experience you won't forget. The hike was not long, but it wasn't easy with all the snow. As the day progressed, the snow turned to slush. As we were going up the hill, things were definitely very slippery in the slush. Although we were cold earlier in the day, it started to get very warm, so make sure you wear layers. Everyone at Jungfraujoch seemed to be having a fun time. We watched the rich and shameless come and go in their helicopters. We even saw someone with a remote control helicopter flying around. The hut is beyond the top of this ridge. As you hike up to this hut, the crowds fade and the mountains rear up around you. The hut is only 2.2 kilometers east of Jungfraujoch. It's about 45 minutes to an hour on foot. I do a fair amount of hiking, but as we're not used to elevation of 3,600 meters, and I'm not used to hiking in slushy snow, this hike seemed a bit longer to me. The hut is actually at 3,650 meters above sea level, and it's open from mid-March to mid-October. It's Switzerland's highest serviced mountain hut. We made it to the hut. What made this hike so difficult is this snow is very slushy. You take 2 steps forward and you slide back 1.5. So you may want to consider having some poles that will help you. It's really unsteady snow because the sun's been beating on it all day. It's a really fun hike. There's some beautiful views. We got to see an avalanche. We enjoyed the hike to the hut. The views from the hut are fantastic. We stayed at the hut for a short while, but it was eventually time to hike back. The snow was still uncomfortably slushy, and we're still at a very high elevation, making air hard to breathe. But going downhill back to Jungfrau, of course, is much easier than going up. There's still a long line for zipline and other adventures, but we were ready for the Ice Palace and decided not to do the zipline. By the way, we saw a few pretty hard landings in the snow coming from the zipline, so just make sure you're comfortable with that if you decide to go do the ziplining. On the way to the Jungfrau Ice Palace, we saw this cool cogwheel from the Jungfrau train that enables climbs on gradients of up to 45 degrees. The Ice Palace is deep within the Jungfrau Glacier and may be the coldest palace in Europe. Temperatures in the Ice Palace are well below freezing. They need to be too, because everything from the floor to the walls to the ceiling is made out of ice. Around 30 ice sculptures are carved out of the ice and are exhibited on the tour. Jungfraujoch Ice Palace is a grand exhibition of ice sculptures and carvings and is an excellent attraction, which you must experience while you're in Jungfrau. The entire Ice Palace is developed and maintained with lots of innovation. For me, it was the most thrilling because the palace is a creation 30 meters under the Aletsch Glacier. It had several corridors with ice sculptures and dimly lit with colored lights making it soothing to the eye. The ice sculptures are great to look at. As you walk through the Ice Palace, just be aware that you may see surging crowds of tour groups taking endless photos in front of everything. I do admire the amount of work it took to build it. It's amazing how it was possible to carve out this out of the ice cavern. The ice sculptures are equally impressive. We're at the Ice Palace in the Jungfraujoch station, and they have some excellent sculptures. Here's one with Lang Lang. He came here and he played, and then they made a sculpture of him. A couple tips you want to think about is the floors are made out of ice. 100% ice, so it's very slip. There are handrails, but I would definitely wear hiking boots to give you a little bit more traction. They do have bars that you can hold on to, but it is very slick here, so be careful. So we've been to quite a few places in Switzerland. I think this has more attractions than any other place, so it's great from that standpoint. Hey, thanks for watching. You'd really help me out if you'd like this video and subscribe to my channel.